Hi guys, so today we're going to do a mid-season race catch-up, just something different. Yes, surprisingly, no bikes. But I just thought I'd go through all of how the season's going and a bit of an Olympic preview. So how we're going here and what's happening. So mid-season racing catch-up. But this post got me thinking yesterday, right? You can see all of the you can see you've got Deceuninck Quickstep on 24 wins, Ineos with 23. It got me thinking, how are the teams doing? What teams are doing terrible? Obviously, you can see down there, there's some teams with not that many wins, but how are they comparing to previous year? Are they improving? Are they not doing that well? And just how does this set them up for later on in the season, the Tour, the Olympics and stuff? So, I mean, we'll jump right into it. So it now looks like this. Obviously, G got his win the other day. So Ineos and Deceuninck are on 24 wins. And then you've got Jumbo Visma, Groupama, UAE. And then you've got DSM down the bottom. I think yeah. But I mean, although we're only halfway through the season, Ineos have already beaten last year's win number. Like, it seems like they finally managed to get form in the classics. I don't know what you all think, but it could be down to the fact that they've now got Ethan Hayter, Tom Pidcock, Kwiato, Teo, all people who want to do the classics. Like, they had a bit in 2012 where they were going for the wins and they were actually getting them, but the last 8-9 years they just haven't got anything. But yeah, so also bit early to say, but I think Deceuninck look like they're not doing that well. I think, well, they are doing well, but they're not doing as well as they'll want to have been doing. I mean, they were doing really well with Casper Asgreen early on in the classics. I don't think Alaphilippe performed to what they were wanting, but then I think the real problem started when they got to the Giro and they just didn't get anything. I don't think they get a second out of it at all. But oh yeah, they might have with Cavagna twice, but that was it. And they would have been wanting more than that. I think that's the first Grand. I was reading a stat. That's the first Grand Tour they've been to where they've got only one win, but they haven't got a win. So yeah, but I'll move on. I decided I was going to rank them all on how I think, plus a few extras. So the tiers we have: a God status inbound, overperforming, good so far, okay I guess, needs to be better, and waste of money. Right? I mean, I'll start off at the bottom. So I think DSM, Astana, and AG2R, I just think they're just not going anywhere. They haven't improved on last season. DSM have just gone backwards. They didn't invest in enough riders. They've ended up with one win, the same amount as Intermarché wanted. Right? They've just done terrible. I mean, they've had an abysmal season so far. I mean, going from the Tour de France last year, I was expecting big things from them this year, and they just haven't delivered anything. I know one of their excuses early on in the season was, "Oh yeah, we're not peaking now," but they haven't peaked at all. They've just stayed at that level and they've done nothing. I mean, I put Astana here because they have a lot of money behind them, and they've only got 3 wins. I mean, if we look here. Astana have 3 wins, 18 top threes and 72. Last year, Astana got 15. Like, they're not doing very well at all. I think they'll want more as well. It's not just me saying this; they will all want more. And then AG2R, they've thrown money at it, but they've got nothing back from it. They're still stuck on their 3 wins that they got early on in the classics. They haven't got anything since. So I think they need to seriously look at how they've been managed, because I think they've got the riders. They're just not performing. If we go to the next level, it needs to be better. Intermarché, I've given them the benefit of the doubt. I was going to put them in the waste of money section because, to be honest, 1 win and you're a World Tour team, you've seriously got some thinking to do. But saying that, though, they're always animating the race and they're always there, and it is their first season, so I will only leave them there. But, you know, they've got to improve. If I come back to this later on, then I will move them down again. I just think they're still using the same tactics that they used at Pro Conti level, but they can't do that now. They're World Tour. They've got to get some more riders, and then they've got to perform better. I mean, Taco van der Hoorn's win, no offense to him, but it wasn't the best. He was more lucky than anything else. He was insanely strong, don't get me wrong, but it was more down to do with the bunch the bunch underestimating him than anything else. If we then move on, Bardiani, I think they need to do better. I know they're a pro-conti team, but I decided to put a few other teams in here. At the Giro, only really place I've seen them, and they missed the majority of the breakaways. Apart from Visconti, that's the only one I can remember actually seeing in there. EF, I think they'll be disappointed because they did really well last year with Hugh Carthy and everything. And it's not from a lack of trying this. They are there, but they've just not got any results from it yet. Well, they have. They've got what? They've got 3 again, so same as Astana and AG2R. But I put them here and needs to be better, as I've always seen them at the front or near the front. So they've always animated the race. Cofidis, I think they've actually improved on last season already, so they're not going wrong. Still need to do better though. They've got more money, and they've got some big riders, and they're just still not. They're on 6 wins, so they're doing better, but they need to up it a bit more. Israel, apart from Mike Woods, they've kind of just not done that well, despite having a lot of money. I mean, again, 7 wins, but they would have been hoping for better. Movistar, literally relying on Valverde and what's his name? I've forgotten his name. Valverde and the Spanish, and not Enric Mas, Marc Soler. Valverde and Marc Soler are the only 2 carrying Movistar, and I think Valverde's got the majority of their wins. Where are they? All 8 of them. I think they'll be wanting to do better, but because they've got probably the most money. Them and Israel have the most money out of these teams here. They should be doing better. Can we go on to the next one? Arkea, they've done all right. They haven't had any notable wins. Quintana hasn't had a fantastic season, but he did do well at the Tour of the Alps, so that's why they're there. Ribble, I haven't seen them race. The race that they did recently, though, they were always at the front, and I did see some videos of it, and they were doing well. They've only done 1 race, so I can't say anything about them. Bora, again, they're doing well. After I was debating putting them in the good so far, but I thought they haven't had any huge wins. They've just been there, if you know what I mean. Same with Lotto, again, really relying on Caleb Ewan to carry them. Bike Exchange, according to their wins, they're doing quite well actually. 7, I think. What did they get last year? 16. So at the halfway point, they're doing all right. They're not doing anything wrong. Yates came second in the Grand Tour. Third in the Grand Tour. You can't complain. So yeah, so that's why they're there. Canyon DHB, I've seen them. I was debating putting them in good so far. You see, this end is they're on the verge of being good so far because they have performed well in some of the French semi-classics, but I think we need to see some more racing from them to actually rank them, as they are only a continental team. So yeah, them and Ribble. We look at Trek again. Okay, they've had Giulio Ciccone and Nibali have always been thereabouts. Apart from Milan San Remo, though, I don't think there's much to shout about. They've always been there, but they've never really had that final thing. Again, apart from Milan San Remo, which is why they're in okay, I guess. If you win a monument, you can't be on the waste of money on needs to be better because your sponsors will have seen you, and they've just done all right, but there's nothing to shout or scream about there. Bahrain, I think they're doing really well so far. They've got some good performances. I mean, Caruso and Gino Maida doing really well. Pella Bilbao, he did amazingly, won the earlier races. Despite losing Mikel Landa in the Giro, they managed to get second for their domestique, who I didn't think it would be Caruso. I thought they would work for Bilbao, but they did very well there. Groupama, they're doing well. They've got quite a few wins. They're third at the moment. They're fourth, sorry. I think they're winning a lot of French races, but I don't really know. But I think with those results, you can't lie. They are doing quite well. Deceuninck, I know they're winning, but I didn't want to put them in God status or overperforming because they're not. I think they will have wanted better, and I'm putting them there because they're doing good, but they can definitely be doing better. I think realistically, with the riders that they have the best riders, and well, them and Ineos have, in my opinion, the best riders for one-day races in the peloton and for winning stages. And I think, I don't know, I think it was a bad decision to go for Remco at the Giro, and it ended up not working out for any of them. But yeah, we'll move on. Jumbo-Visma and UAE, they're performing well. They're doing what they've set out to do. They've got a few wins. Again, they're relying on Pogacar and Roglic, but I mean, when you've got the Pogacar, Roglic, and Wout van Aert, but I mean, when you've got them in the team, you can rely on them because they're winning that many races, and it's working out. Like, what's UAE's fifth, and where's Jumbo-Visma's third overall, so they've got 14 and 11 wins between, so that's not bad, and it's good. They're doing well. And I think with the Tour coming up, they'll get a few more wins, and then the monuments at the end of the year, they'll definitely go up a bit. Then we move here. Now, Quebec, I know they're only got 4 wins, but considering they had no team in November and most of the team had left, they only had Campenaerts and Nizzolo left. They have really, really done well to get any wins at all. I thought they were going to be no wins and just end up dropping out and folding, and it's the style that they've done it in as well. They haven't just, when they've won, they haven't won by luck. They've won dominantly. So Campenaerts win, that was an amazing win. Nizzolo's win, well, Nizzolo's got 3 wins, I think, for the team, but he deserved that. And then Mauro Schmid, he's done well. I think the good thing with Quebec is they've had to invest in a lot of youth. So now you can see that that in their races, the younger riders who you wouldn't normally see are actually getting a chance. And you got the likes of Mauro Schmid, and then who's the other one? There's another few in the breakaways at the Giro doing well. I think they've done well for that. Right, other overperforming, Androni Giocolatti, they came. Jefferson Cepeda came second in the Tour de France. Simon Pulloud was in the breakaway every day. They've set out what they wanted to do and more, and I think they've just done really well. They're perfect for the sponsors because they're getting wins as well. So yeah, they're just overperforming. You won't see it as much unless you watch every race, but every race I've watched, they're always there at the front and they're always trying to animate it or something like that. And the fact that Cepeda managed to get, I think it was 3rd in the Tour of the Alps for a Pro Conti team against World Tour teams, that's a very strong ride. We'll move on now. So we've got Ineos. 100% they deserve to be in overperforming. I was debating putting them in God status, but then the budget they have behind them kind of explains why they're not in God status. But basically they've over. I don't think anyone was expecting them to be on 24 wins. Yes, they have the budget, but you weigh that up with the fact the past 9 years they haven't managed to win more than 5 classics with Ian Stannard and who was the other one, Danny Van Poppel. Apart from that, you just haven't had anything. But sorry. Yeah, I'll delete that. And then you've got, I mean, this year I think they're really invested in youth this year, younger British riders, and they've had Ethan Hayter and Tom Pidcock coming through and just winning. You had Ethan Hayter winning, what was it, Tour of the Algarve. He was doing really well in that. He was winning some races there, and he's a future Grand Tour winner, I'd say. And then you got Teo and G, and they're getting up there and they're winning it. And then you've got Bernal and you've got Carapaz, and I just think they've after last year they've come back from last year and they've went back to the drawing board and went, look, we need to win more races, and they're doing that. And I think they're overperforming. I didn't expect them to be doing this well. I thought they'd do well in the Grand Tours and then struggle in the classics. So move on. Iolo Kometa, I think they've done incredibly well. First year as a Pro Conti, first year as a team, they've won a Grand Tour stage. They've been in nearly every break on a Grand Tour. They held the Mountains jersey for the first week, I think, with Albanese. And the way that they won, the way that Lorenzo Fortunato won that stage up Zoncolan, I mean, to ride Jan Tratnik off your wheel and manage to not be caught by Bernal, that's some ride. And they're a continental team, so they're pro-continental riders. So I think they definitely have something to be proud of. Just a few more wins this year, and they definitely will be up to God status. Uno-X, 100% overperforming every Belgian classic. They've been at the front, and you thought they might have won, or they've been in top 10. And they've done what they set out to do and more, and they're just always there. If they were a French team, I think they 100% would have been in the Tour or any grand. If they're any of the Grand Tour Nations team, they would have been in there because they're performing much better than the likes of Bardiani or Total Direct Energy or someone like that. I think, in fact, I think most of the races where Uno-X are in, they're actually getting close to beating RKS Samsic, but on a smidgen of the budget with riders that you wouldn't have heard of. So I think they're doing really well, really well. And then Alpecin Phoenix, what can I say? They're just winning everything. You've got Van der Poel, you've got Jasper Philipsen, you've got Tim Malia, you've got loads of other riders that you won't know that just do well. They overperform in every single race. Like, what was it? Malia won a Grand Tour stage. You've got Matthew Van der Poel. I know it's Matthew Van der Poel, but he's on a pro-continental team, so they're clearly doing something right to keep him there. And yeah, I just think they're just the best team in the world currently for what they want to do. I think if they wanted to, but the thing is, they're not overshooting what they want to do. Like, if you look at the likes of, don't want to say this, but like, you look at AG2R, they're trying to go for the win, and Astana is trying to go for the win when they don't actually have the riders because they don't have the budget. Whereas you look at Alpecin Phoenix, they're like, okay, we're going to sit back. What can we get from this race? And then they'll set their objectives up. They know they're not going to win the yellow jersey, so they're not going to go for it. Unlike AG2R, DSM, and Astana, who seem to always have someone for general classification, but then end up coming 9th or 10th, or sometimes dropping totally out like Bardet. But Alpecin Phoenix don't go for that. They know they don't have the team for that, and they set the sights on something and go, right, we're going to win this stage, and then they go and win it. And I think when you've got a team that can do that, they're just the best. Right, so we'll move on now. So that was the teams, and we'll look at individual riders. I mean, you can't really say too much about this because we're halfway through the year, but I think the big losers from this year have to be the big winners. Sorry, has to be Kasper Asgreen. He's shot up. Alexander Vlasov, João Almeida. Although I think that's purely because he was actually, I don't know why he's gone up that many places from 502nd, but you've got Kasper Asgreen. He's done well. Nit Solo, Caruso. He's got something to shout about. Malia as well. Big win for him. Hugh Carthy's actually up in the top 25 now. Although with this, you have to take it with a pinch of salt because it's done by points. So if someone's done less races, they won't be up here. So like Pidcock, although he's probably right now one of the best 5 riders in the world, I'm going to say that. Yeah, I know, probably not true, but I think he is. I think he's probably one of the best 5 in the world right now. And he's, 23rd? Because he hasn't done the amount of races that the likes of Van Aert and him have probably done similar, but he hasn't done the amount of races that Valverde or Simon Yates has done, but he's still managing to get in the top 23. So I think he's doing very well. If we look, though, big losers wise, I think if people that have moved down, you've not got many up. There's a lot of people that have just fallen totally out the top 25, like Sam Bennett, he was 12th there. That's wrong. Anyway, but we'll move on from this and we'll have a look at something else. But points by nation, just looking ahead to the Olympics, like what can we take from this? And I think this is always quite deceptive for this because you look at the wins, you're like, oh my God, Italy and France, incredible. But then when you actually look at what riders they have, you realise that it's just because they have the most races, and that's where their riders ride, because they're very patriotic and would much rather ride in their own country, race in their own country, than go to other countries at a pro-conti and a continental level. So I think that's quite deceptive. But I think the important ones to look at is Colombia and you can ignore this bit here after 15th. Like, no, not after 50. After, where is it? 18th. I think you can probably just ignore these because it's just they've got lucky. I think apart from the United States, again, they're just disappointing. I don't think they stand a chance of getting the win at the Olympics. They don't have any riders that right now. You might have Brandon McNulty, but I just don't think they'll win anything. Norway, although they've lost 2 places, I think they're doing much better than last year. They've got, not Norway, Denmark, ignore me. They've gone up. Denmark are doing much better. I think the UK, we're in with a great shot of it. We've got lots of climbers. And I'll move on to the Olympics course now to show you what's that going to look like. So you've got the time trial, again, a very hilly time trial. So I'm not exactly sure this will suit Ghana, but I'll get into that in a bit. If we look at the road race, which is this one up here, it's very mountainous. And I doubt Greg Van Avermaet, the likes of Greg Van Avermaet, Peter Sagan, or any of the sprinters are going to manage to get over these. I mean, you look at that first one there, that is brutal. And then the second one, again, that goes up to 1,500 meters. That's like an Alp. And it's huge. You've got 20K there to there. I mean, obviously, that's not all going to be climbing, but let's say that looks about 15-kilometer climb. Like, that's huge. You're not going to get a sprinter over that. Yeah, so and 1,000 meters of climbing and not one climb alone. If moving on, I have ranked them of what I ranked everyone. Well, the big names that I think might do well or not so well. So I'll move on. I'll start from the top. My favorite. Hang on. Oops. So my favorites to win: Valverde, Roglic, and Pogačar, with my money on Pogačar or Roglic. They've just looked, every race they're in, if they were let off the leash, they could have won. I mean, you just have to look at that stage where Roglic stole it off Gino Mader. Like, he could do that at the end of midway through a stage race. I know this is different. This is a long one-day race, and everyone's going to be rested before. But I still wouldn't put it past Roglic to win. And I think Roglic and Pogačar are the two to beat. I put Valverde up there just because he's doing incredible at the moment, and I genuinely think he's got one of the best chances to win as well. It's a perfect course for him, Pogačar and Roglic. Hills, and then a sprint at the end, and he's got the sprint on probably Pogačar and Roglic. If we go to the next level, and I wouldn't put it past them, I've got Wout van Aert. Well, I'll go for the riders of similar ability first, of similar style first. Right, Van Aert, Pidcock, Alaphilippe, and Asgreen. I put them here because they're the riders that do very well in one-day races, and if they can get over this final climb here, right, before the finish, I think they've won. Well, unless it's all 4 of them get over, then it's going to be an out sprint. But I think Pidcock, I just wouldn't put it past him, hence the name. Van Aert, I think he's turned himself into this mountain domestique, so I could genuinely see him trying to get over getting over that final thing, and then if he's there, then he's won the sprint, unless Pidcock's there to beat him. Pidcock, again, I think same as Wout van Aert, if he can get over that final climb, he's got the best chance of winning. I think Alaphilippe will want to get away. Alaphilippe won't want to drag Pidcock and Van Aert with him, because they're both faster than Alaphilippe in the sprint, and they're going to beat him every day, unfortunately. I've put him in Alaphilippe, and I wouldn't put it past him, because I wouldn't put it past him, but I don't think he's going to win, personally, because I don't think he's that much of a better climber than Van Aert and Pidcock that he can win, but we've seen weirder things happen. Bernal, I think the likelihood is if Pogačar and Roglic get away, Bernal will be the one to follow them. He just looks like he has the legs to follow. And I think he could. But again, if he drags these two, then he's lost, unfortunately. Kasper Asgreen, he's doing well at the moment. And I wouldn't, like I said, this whole level, I wouldn't put it past him, because they're insanely strong riders, and the course For Asgreen, though, I think it could be just a bit too mountainous for him to do well, but we'll see. This one would be an upset, not surprise. Carapaz, Rich Port, Van der Poel, Hershey, and Geraint Thomas, right? Carapaz, again, mountainous. He's a climber. He can do it. Richie Port, I feel like he's been holding something back working for G. I think he can do it. Van der Poel, again, like Van Aert and Tom Pidcock, if he can get over those climbs, he's got a very good chance of winning. But saying that, I think he's less likely to get over the climbs than Pidcock and Van Aert, which is why I put him on this one, because I think it's slightly too hilly for him. Mark Hershey, if he's on the form he was on in the Tour de France last year, then I would have put him up there, nearly unbeatable. But I haven't seen anything from him this year that has gone, oh yeah, I'm going to win big races. He's kind of been a bit of a flop for UAE. I don't know whether that's because he's changed teams and he doesn't like the bike or something, but he's just not done as well. If we move on, Geraint Thomas, I think he's in the mood to win some big things this year. And again, it's hilly enough for him to drop the sprinters. And he'll probably be one of the ones trying to go if the likes of Bernal, Pogačar, and Roglic attack. So yeah, I think, but I still would put Pogačar and Roglic to beat G in a sprint. So he'd have to go for a long range one, but he could do it. So people who I think have overperformed who, if they win, they've overperformed and they've outdone my expectations, and that's David Gaudu, Adam Yates, Michael Woods, Max Schachmann, Dan Martin, Hugh Carthy, and Alexander Vlasov. I think, again, these are all climbers that would probably try. One of these will probably get away with the likes of Pogačar and Roglic if something attacked, or they're likely to attack, or Dan Martin will try and get a breakaway. I can guarantee one of them will try and get in the final break. Wouldn't surprise me, and you could see one of these stealing the win because the others are looking at each other. But I still think it's unlikely because it's the Olympics, and I think everyone's going to be watching everyone. If I move to this section, now this is wow, what a ride. So these are the riders that I think it's not just overperformed. It's their probably the best race of their career. And that is Thibaut Pinot, Giulio Ciccone, Damiano Caruso, Bauke Mollema, Simon Yates, and Gianni Moscon. They're not quite climbers. They're not climbers. They're not sprinters. They're just the kind of riders that if they were in, they could steal. Again, they're less likely to steal it than any of these, but they could. Yes, I put Simon and Adam on a different level because I have a feeling that Adam's just gone up a level since joining Ineos, and I think Simon needs to find a win to. Well, he's got a win at the Giro, but I think he needs to find some more form before I put him up a level. And then Moscon, he's done very well at the Tour of the Alps, very similar type of profile, and I think if he attacks, he could sneak away, but I think it's unlikely. You are on drugs. Greg Van Avermaet and Peter Sagan, I think, yeah, they'd have to be on drugs to win. I think Greg Van Avermaet's been very optimistic to try and actually defend his title. He might get to the start line, but whether he'll actually be able to do anything, I don't know. And then breakaway win, Simon Palou, guarantee he will probably be in the breakaway, and Victor Campenaerts, if he's in a breakaway, he is likely to win. There are two riders which I've just realised I haven't put on here, and that is Remco Evenepoel and Thomas de Gent. Right, and Remco Evenepoel, I would put him overperformed. Again, I think he's very much like these. He's a climber. He can't sprint as well as Pidcock, Van Aert, and Van der Poel, but I definitely put him in overperformed, as I still think he's suffering a bit from his injury, and he needs to win a race first before he can go properly be considered a favourite for this. And then Thomas de Gent, again, breakaway win. It's Thomas de Gent. If anyone can win a breakaway, it's him, Victor Campenaerts, and Simon Palou. But yeah, so that's my Olympics preview. I know it's actually after the Tour de France, but I thought I'd do it a bit in advance. So if anyone likes this style of video, comment below. Anything you disagree with me on, go on, fight it out in the comments, and then I might feature it in another video. Other news, I would just like to say congratulations to Matty Cole and Daniel Saber on their top 2 at the on the Giro Fantasy competition. There will be a prize on the way to Matty, but we're just sorting that out now, so it could be in the next few weeks. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you want me to do a video like this in the future, just comment that down below. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Bye.